Hello, my name is Mr. Ruyard. I'm in room 518 and I am your EGI champion. In this screencast, I am going to show you how to set up your mastery columns, these mastery columns here. And eventually these will average with one another so we can give a student an overall grade. I'm going to show you how to set this up. The first thing we do, and I recommend it this way, you can do it some other way, but we're going to start with materials. This is where it needs to be. And this is my sandbox course, but it pretty much matches my other courses. So I have my syllabus up here, and we're going to create a learning targets folder. You can call it mastery columns folder if you like, it doesn't matter, but one of the two, just label it. And what we're going to do is we're going to create all the mastery columns as assignments in here. I know that sounds a little confusing, but we have to create them as assignments, and then we can give them grades, scores that will translate to grades. So to do that, just go into create this folder, and to show you how to do that, let's go to materials and add folder. Since I tend to use these colors for my weekly folders, I don't use those colors. What I use is black or white. I don't use those for weekly assignments. So label it learning targets, or if you prefer, mastery columns, that's fine. That's fine too. And then the date is not necessary. You can leave that alone. Have it published. Otherwise, if you don't publish it, students will not see their grades and you will not be able to input a grade. That happened to me my first year, made that mistake. Kept wondering why students cannot see their grades because I had not published this. So make sure it's published. Go ahead and create, hit create so it's there. I will hit cancel because I've already made this. It should look like this. So you have a folder called learning targets or mastery column. And put it at the top, because otherwise it'll just start disappearing towards the bottom, which could work too, but I put mine at the top. And students do see these as assignments, but I explain it to them that these are not assignments themselves. They're a placeholder where I am going to put a grade in, a number, and each of those learning targets will average with one another for them to get their final score. So I just explain it to them and then they get it. So what we're going to do is we're going to create these learning targets. And these, again, are assignments. So first, to do this, we're going to go under Materials. And we're going to create an assignment. And label it for each LT, going to create one of these. So LT1 in the English department, this is narrative plus language use, just like that. I can put description here if I'd like, but I really don't need to. Leave everything else alone. The due date is important because this assignment, the final due date is December 16. So I would do that. Click December 16 as your assignment due date. 4 points should be the default. Category, we've created these in our grade setup, and just make sure it matches. So if this is LT1, just go to your category and find the right learning target that you've already created in the grade setup. So in this case, it's LT1. And so LT1 up here should match with LT1 down here. Grading period, I would leave it alone. It's usually set up already in our Schoology. This is a sandbox, always says PD grading period. Factor of 1, that is important. Make sure it is a factor of 1. Factor of 0 is only for assignment. Now, these are going to average with one another, so we do need these to be factors of 1. So factor of 1, please. Mastery grading is what you choose, not the final. We only use that for our grade setup, and we've already done that, so we won't use those again. Just choose mastery grading 0 to 4 scale. Alignment, if you'd like to use mastery tab or track your standards, you can certainly click that. So for example, I actually do have that. And I would choose LT1 right here. And there you could see it. And then add learning objective, and you see it there. Everything else, submission enabled, make sure that's there. Publish to student, yes, publish it, otherwise they will not see their grade. I like to see the statistics, so I do click that. Comments enabled, I turn that off, otherwise I get questions like, what is this assignment? When is this due? So disable that, and it should just be white. And it should look like this. And go ahead and hit create. I'm going to hit cancel, but please hit create. it should look like this. It'll say LT1 or whatever your title is. And these are your learning targets as determined by your department and anything else you might add. So I added LT8, work habits, miscellaneous assignment, and accelerated reader. We are going to use that. And so I went ahead and made that a learning target. Once you've made these, they're going to show up in one other place under your grade book. And here they are. And the purpose for these master columns is this is where we're going to put our numbers. Because they have a factor of 1, they will average with one another. Remember, all assignments are factors of 0. So for example, if I were to just look under all materials and look at LT7, this is LT7 only. These assignments are only with LT7. So you can see I have my scores here, and I gave the student a final grade of 4. Here, I gave him a final grade of 3, and here a final grade of 1. This overall grade, though, came about not because of just this, but all the learning targets and all the mastery columns. So let's say I've already put a grade in LT9, accelerator. This student didn't really read, gave me half the points that he or she owed. So it gets a 2, and then this one did really well. This one did not read at all. So by putting those in, it will average with the other learning targets or mastery columns that I have created. And this is how a student gets their overall grade. So for example, if I were to delete this, you'll see what's starting to happen. Grades are changing, as you can see. There you go. So again, they do average with whatever you put there. So if I go back to 4, for example, or even a 2 here, and a 0 here, there. And that's it. And this is how we make sure the students get their grades for progress report card and or report card. So it is important that you create these mastery columns and set it up that way. And again, I think it's really easier to organize it under one folder. Otherwise, it will start showing up here as assignments, and it gets really confusing and gets kind of mixed up with all the other assignments you're creating. So I recommend keeping it organized and putting under a folder, learning targets. If you have any questions, please email me at r.rouillard@lausd.net. And I'm in room 518 and always willing to help you out any way I can. And I'm available during 5th and 6th period and after school. Just let me know, and I'd be happy to help you set this up. Thank you very much.